is a premium theme created by a company called Elegant Themes. And unfortunately, like we previously mentioned, Divi is a paid theme. And at the time of recording this course, it's $89 per year to have the rights to use Divi. Now, if $89 sounds like a lot to you, just understand the possible value here. With an $89 per year subscription, you can create as many Divi sites as you want. If you're freelancing or running an agency, this $89 becomes a no-brainer as you only pay once per year and then you're able to offer that value to all your clients. But of course, it's up to you. And I can only speak for myself when it comes to Divi, and I must say that it is well worth it. There are a few alternatives though that we'll discuss in just a sec, so stay tuned. For now though, I want to explain more about Divi, and for that, it's time to return to the computer. So we'll go over how to install Divi in a later video, but just to give you a quick demonstration, after you install and activate Divi, your website will change to this. This is basically Divi by default, and it may not look that impressive at first sight, but the power of Divi is in the page builder. So what I'm going to do is click New Page, and we can start to see what the Divi page builder is like. Now, in a traditional WordPress page or WordPress post without Divi, this is what you'd use. So your options are up here. You can put in a heading. So up here would be your heading 1. So I'll put in a heading 2 and be like, well, let's just call it heading 2. I don't know what to put in there. And then you got paragraph, blah, 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 blah. You can bold it. You can italicize it. You can align to center to left, right, make it into a quote, insert a link, all that stuff. But that's pretty much it. Also, you can go to text and edit it in HTML style. So you'll see that when we left align something, it's putting in a style to left align. So just to demonstrate that, I'll text align it right, and it changes it there. But we can go into HTML and change it to left, and it's left. Now, that is WordPress's normal editor, but the power of Divi is in the page builder, like I said before. So I'm going to click on this big purple button to use the page builder. Now, I like to use the default editor because you can see the structure, but you can also use a visual builder, which allows you to create stuff and see it visually right away. In this demo, to show you the power of Divi, I think it's going to be more impressive to use the visual builder. So I'm going to jump over into that. And it asks whether you want to take the tour. You can definitely do the tour. I'm just going to start building because I've done this before. You've got your page, which is just blank, but then you've got this, which is your section, your row. You can add in another row. You can make it a 2-column row, and then you can insert modules. I'm just running through this quickly as a demo. You'll see what we can do in more detail further down the track, but let me just see I'll put in an image. I don't have any images yet. What pictures have I got? I got a picture of me. So I can put that there, and that'll take up half the page because I've set up a 2-column layout. And then on here, I could maybe set up some text, and maybe the first part of the text will be a big heading saying, "Hi, I'm Chris." And you can see that these changes are happening live in front of you. That's the power of the visual builder of Divi. This is essentially what a page builder does. Not necessarily in this visual manner, but it allows you to build a page based on sections, rows, columns, and modules. That differs slightly between different page builders, but that's generally a good structure, a good hierarchy to look at things. Sections, columns, rows, and modules, and that's definitely how it works in Divi. So if you like this, for example, maybe you wanted to put in another section, and it can be a full width section or a regular section. Then it's going to ask you again, how many columns do you want in your row? Maybe 4 columns. You can see here. Now I can press the button and add more modules. You can add a custom code module as well to just put in whatever code you want and it still be aligned.
And I guess the biggest benefits of page building is the layout, of course, because we can easily create these 4-column responsive layouts. If I was to, I don't think it works when you have Visual Builder. Oh, yep. So you can see here it's responsive, right? So that was on the left and that was on the right, but now, since I've shrunken it, it has gone into a more shrinked setting. This is the power of using a premium theme, by the way. It's definitely all optimized for mobile. And so you can have these fluid layouts, but then also you can take advantage of modules. So what would be a cool one? Like a circle counter. And then all you need to do is put in a number, and voila, you got this circle counter that animates directly just by putting it in. Like, to code this would take so much more time, but you get these elements, or they're called modules in Divi, that you can just throw stuff in. So let's say, I don't know, 50% complete. And then you press tick, and then you come down here, and then you can publish or save draft. So that is essentially the Divi page builder, and this is what makes Divi a powerful tool for developing on WordPress. But it's important to note that Divi is not the only theme that comes with a page builder, and I feel like it would be remiss of me to just talk about Divi and not anything else. One of the most popular ones was formerly known as Visual Composer, and now it is called WP Bakery page builder. I don't know why they changed the name to that, but you can still find it using the search term Visual Builder. You can go to their page, and they claim to be the #1 WordPress page builder plugin. So it has it has a very similar way of building pages with sections, rows, different modules. But the big difference between this and Divi is it's for any WordPress theme. These two are the ones I've personally used. I've used this page builder on a theme called Fortuna. So you can see if you go into Theme Forest, which is a place where you can find premium themes, you will find a few themes with Visual Composer or WP Bakery page builder as something that's included. So if I scroll down here, oh wow, that's it. That is a lot of demos. Okay, so the feature highlights. Obviously, it's got to be fully responsive. In today's day and age, everything needs to be responsive. Visual Composer, which they haven't changed the name of yet, comes with this, and also a premium plugin called Revolution Slider. So that's just an example. I'm sure you'll find other themes that have Visual Composer installed as well. There's another one called Elementor, which my friend Lewis has put me onto. He says it's the best page builder. It's the new one. It also claims to be the #1 WordPress page builder. It doesn't have as many users as WP Bakery page builder because they've been around longer. But he swears by it, and it actually has a free version. So if you're on a budget, I'm just going to click pricing here. If you're on a budget, you can get the not pro version. I guess the free version have similar functionality. If you want to learn more about Elementor, there's a video you can watch here. I'm not going to play it because you can watch it in your own time. I haven't personally used this one before, but I definitely give it a try if I was on a budget. So like I said, the rest of the course is focused purely on Divi because it'd just be too time consuming to show you how to do it on every single page builder, and a lot of the principles are the same. So the point I'm trying to get across here is the power of using a page builder with a premium theme. It allows us to create websites much faster, but of course we are using WordPress, and if the page builder is set up correctly, we still have a lot of customization options. We can build websites based off a design that the client gives us or that we've come up with ourselves. It gives us a great balance of being able to build pages relatively quickly, but then be able to customize and edit anything that we need. So if you're ready to move on from the theory, in the next video, we're finally going to get stuck into building our WordPress site using Divi. So I'm excited to see you in the next video. or WordPress. Now there's two ways you could do this. We can install WordPress on a host, so it's live on the internet. We can do that using cPanel. And it's actually quite easy. Or we can host locally, and hosting locally just means that we set up our own server. There's a little bit more configuration that goes on, but then it's completely hosted just on our computer. There's no, it's not on the internet at all, basically. There are pros and cons to both, but installing locally is a little bit more complicated, so I thought we'd go over that first. If you just want to skip this part and go straight to installing WordPress direct on your hosting, you can just skip ahead and check out that. But what I'm going to do first, because what we need first is WordPress itself, so I'm going to go to wordpress.org. Actually, before we even download WordPress, we're going to need a new folder to house our website in. So I'm going to go into my code folder, and I'm going to put in, what should I call this? Skillshare WordPress site. Okay, so now I have a directory where I can store our website. I'm going to click on this button here on wordpress.org. Make sure you go to wordpress.org, not wordpress.com. And then you just can click this button here to download the latest version. So I'm going to navigate to where our WordPress site is going to be, click save, and that'll save a zip file to that location. So if I go in here, there's the zip file. I can extract it by double clicking on Mac, and this is our WordPress set up here. So I'm going to move that into that directory, get rid of this directory which was created by the zip file, and get rid of the zip file. Now the other thing you're going to need is a server to run this, and like I talked about in the last course, the server that I use is called MAMP. That's because I use a Mac. You can use WAMP. And I won't go into a lot of detail here because I did cover it in my previous class on understanding web development. But basically, the letters in MAMP stand for Mac, Apache, MySQL, and PHP. So the important things to note here is that WordPress is built on PHP and MySQL. So that's why we need that in the stack. Apache doesn't really matter too much why we're using Apache. And then M stands for Mac because I'm running a Mac. If I was running Windows, I would use WAMP, which is all the same letters except W for Windows, and then LAMP for Linux. But not to confuse you too much, if you don't have MAMP already downloaded and installed, you can click here. And if you need help with setting that up, definitely check out the video on installing a server from my previous class. All right, so I already have MAMP installed, so I'm going to go into here. And what I need to do, if you remember from the last course, is direct MAMP to the project directory. So sorry, maybe I did that a little bit fast. Go into, here's an ad, very annoying. I'm going to go into MAMP preferences. And then I'm going to go into web server, and it's, as you can see, linked to the last Skillshare class I did, which I just called the project directory Skillshare course in that one. This one I'm storing in code. I'm going to go to Skillshare WordPress site, and I'm going to click select. Then I'm going to click OK, and then I'm going to click start servers. And it'll take a little bit of time, but then you should hopefully see these two light up green, and suddenly your MAMP start page begins. So if you want to quickly get to your website, you can click My Website, and what will happen is it'll bring up WordPress. So at this stage, all you have, to be clear, is the WordPress files in that directory. Now there's two aspects to WordPress. One is the code, which is all the code files we have here. Basically the PHP templates and everything else that goes with it, the front end stuff, which is stored in themes, but we're getting a bit ahead of ourselves. And then the other part is the database. And so you need both to run WordPress. And we've got our server here, which is actually running MySQL, as we can see here, but we don't have a server set up yet for WordPress. Again, if you're setting this up on cPanel on your host, you don't even have to do this. It just automatically installs. But because we're doing it locally, it's going to set up a new database for us. All right, so after I've chosen the language, I get taken to this screen, which is informing me that I need to set up the database. Unfortunately, through the WordPress setup, they're not able to affect the database, but the information we will put in the next tab will go into what's called a wconfig file, which is where you store this information above in here that allows WordPress to connect to its database. Again, if you're using cPanel and you're doing this directly on your hosting, this is all done automatically, so you don't have to worry about this. So maybe if this is a bit too complicated, just host it via one-click install, which will be the next video. Otherwise, if you definitely want to host it locally, continue along. And what we'll need to do is, as it says, create a database. So I'm going to go back into the start page here, go to Tools and click phpMyAdmin. If you've lost that page, the URL is just localhost, then the port, which for me it's 8888/phpMyAdmin. Now, what we're going to need to do here is to set up a new database, and we can do that by clicking New. So in here, I'm going to just call this Skillshare WordPress. All right, so now we've got a blank database in our phpMyAdmin, which is all we need for WordPress to come in and create all the tables and the beginning data to basically get started with WordPress. So thankfully, we don't have to create all the tables in the database ourselves. And we could also set up a user here, like I've done here, but we don't need to do that either. So what we can do is there is a default user that we can use, which is just the root user. If I go back into here, let's actually put this into practice. I'm going to copy the database name, put it there, and then for username and password, I can just put root. It's not that important to change your username and password and have that all set up because we are running it locally. Basically, nobody could hack your database unless they had access to your computer. Whereas if this was online, you probably wouldn't want to use root and root because that would be a lot more hackable. Database host we can leave as localhost, and table prefix, it's always a good idea to leave that as WP/ just to follow the convention. So when we click submit here, hopefully the connection will be successful. So this confirms that all the details are correct, and we can just click run the installation. And now WordPress is going to set up the database for us. So for the site title, I'm going to call it Christopher Dodd because that's my name. Username, I'm just going to call it admin. I'm going to use their suggestion, and it's always a good idea to save usernames and passwords. So I'm going to open up a text edit file and click new document. And so I'll put this here so I don't forget it. This is going to be your WordPress login. So yeah, make sure you hold on to that because you're going to need it anytime you log into your WordPress website. I'm going to put in my email address so that I can be contacted about this website. And because we're doing locally, we do not need to discourage search engines from indexing the website because it's not even on the internet. Okay, the final step is to click install WordPress. And it says that it's now installed. Now what I want you to do is to go back to your phpMyAdmin and just refresh. So you can refresh here or you can refresh here. And suddenly you'll see that there's all these tables, right? And some of them I'm pretty sure will have lots of data put in already. So like to go through and do this manually would be ridiculous. So thankfully WordPress sets this all up for us in their famous 5-minute install. And now we can log into our website, or if we just want to see it, this is our website. Okay. So if we want to log in, we can grab this and voila. Now the benefit of hosting locally is, number one, if you want to keep it completely private and you definitely don't want anyone to see it, it's not on the internet, so nobody can find it. Also, you have access to the files right on your computer, so you can edit anything really quickly and easily. You don't have to upload, download. We could just go through and open with our code editor. There are benefits, pros and cons to having locally versus hosted from the beginning. One of the negatives of this is we're going to have to migrate the site to get it on the internet, but that is not a big deal because I'm going to be showing you how to do that at the end of the course. All right, so that was how to install WordPress locally. Just remember, every time you start up your computer, you'll have to start up your server again in order to access this website. It does not work unless the server is running. But yeah, that's it. Now you have a fresh WordPress install to work with. In the next video, I'm going to briefly cover how to do this directly on cPanel, on the cloud, on the internet, on your hosting account, which is just a little bit easier. So I will see you on the next video. So in the last video, we set up WordPress locally, but in this video, I'm going to show you how to set up WordPress on cPanel on your hosting. And it's actually quite simple. cPanel makes this very easy. What I'm going to do is open up a new window, and I'm going to go to a domain that I've already set up. If you did the last course with me, you would remember Skillshare course.space. There is currently nothing there, so I'm going to get this error, but you can access your website cPanel by putting -cPanel. Now, if you're not following along right here, basically what I've already done is I've created a domain, and then I've linked that domain to hosting. And if this is all new to you, definitely go back to the previous class, which is Understanding Web Development, and check out the sections on deploying your website to the internet. Check out the difference between domain and hosting if you're not familiar with that. But basically, we're starting from the endpoint of the last class. So if any of this doesn't make sense, I definitely encourage you to go back and take that class. Anyways, we are now on cPanel, and as you see, I have a bunch of logins already because I manage cPanel on a lot of accounts. But what I've basically done for my website, I've already set up a cPanel username. I'm using the same password as we did for our local install, but I couldn't use admin because I'd already used that one before. So Skillshare course is the username in my instance. I'm going to click login, and now I'm in cPanel. Now when you're in cPanel, all you need to do to install WordPress is go to Web Applications and then click WordPress. The great thing about installing through your cPanel is that you don't need to set up the database. So I just click this button, install this application, and I don't want a directory. I'm just going to have it right on the root domain. Everything else is fine. What I'm going to do is use the same login details as we set for the local version. Ideally, you wouldn't want your password the same for cPanel and WordPress, but after this course, I'm going to delete anyway, so it doesn't really matter too much. For the administrator email, I'm going to put in my email so that this website can reach me if there's any problems or notifications. Website title is going to be Christopher Dodd, and I'm going to put my tagline as WordPress web developer. Cool. We can leave everything as default and then click install. Also, if you took the last class, Understanding Web Development, you would have seen me do this before as well. It's very quick and quite easy. All right, so just like that, your WordPress website is now installed, and you can go to here, and suddenly I'm on my new WordPress website. And if I wanted to go into the admin, I go into the admin like this, and it's just the username and password that I set up in the installation process. So there you have it. We have a fresh WordPress install. So from this point, you can decide, you probably have already decided, but from this point, you can work on the cloud-based, or you can work on the local install. Assuming that I already have it set up locally here, and it's generally easier to work with local files. Plus, I'm going to be migrating in a later video. I'm going to do it on the local hosting, but you can just as well do it directly from the hosting online. So that covers setting up WordPress. The next step is for us to change this theme. This is the default theme of WordPress. And of course, the theme we're using is Divi, but there is an important concept to learn about building themes or customizing themes, and that is child themes. So in the next video, we're going to create a child theme and talk about what a child theme is and why you should use one. So I will see you in the next video.